listeners, it's time for part 2 with Nicola Hume. We hinted at this in our last episode, and we promised she'd be back with her exciting news. Before we go to her, though, I have to introduce my co-host, heading across the airwaves, to my lofty friend, Harry Benjamin. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? It's nice to get back in the seats. So I know Tomo was here for part 1. I watched that, and he was fuming that he wasn't going to get to interview Grosjean, and quite rightly so.
Yeah, he's not happy about that. I just said, go and have a fight, go and have a scrap. And
we did, and I won. So,
well, you are about 30 times bigger than he is, so to be expected. What's new with you? Anything on the horizon?
Yeah. Can't talk about it though. Yeah, there's some cool stuff coming up. I mean, it's a busy part of the year now, really. Like, after this long, it's like the spring break they called it, isn't it? Now it's like I don't know how many races in the next month or so, but there's a lot. So there's a lot. F1, F3, some other bits and bobs, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting month. I can't wait to get properly stuck back in it. I feel like I need a refresher of how Formula One works because I just feel like I've switched off over the last few weeks.
You'll be fine. Shall I introduce today's guest?
Yeah, probably.
So, Nicola Hume, The Return, the sequel, part 2, The Rising. She's back on the MotorMouth podcast for the second instalment of our chat.
Tokyo Drift.
And this time, she comes bearing news that we can talk about this time. Nicola, welcome back to the MotorMouth podcast. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I'm hoping I'm not
sound a little bit
coldy.
Up.
Yeah.
Oh, did you catch it from one of your guests on the new pod?
No, it wasn't. God, can you imagine? And then I'll be tweeting everyone going, just so you know, just so you know.
Look, we will come on to that in just a moment. But before we do, I know you were very busy at the weekend. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Formula E? Because I was in Berlin at the weekend to watch the race. Did you have a chance to see any of it?
I haven't seen any of it. I was so bit. I've been away. I've been working and a bit all over the place. The only bit I saw was the protest clips.
Yes.
That's all I've seen from FE for over the weekend.
It was funny. I wasn't in the grandstand at that point. I was behind the grandstand having a quick beverage in the Heineken area. And
solid choice.
Well, I thought so, and which is pretty poor form considering it was right at the start of the race, and I should have really been in the grandstand. But I didn't know what was going on until I saw about 5 police officers and security guards sprinting past me behind the grandstand towards a gap in the fence where they could go onto the track. But it was all extremely dramatic, and thank God the cars weren't moving, or it could have been a lot worse.
To protest, of all the things to protest. An electric car racing series, if you're gonna, I get if you want to protest a Formula One race, but to do that, I mean, Formula E, the whole thing about it is championing sustainability and electric mobility within inner cities. It's like you probably should have thought that one through a little bit better. And also, you're right, it is just a bit dangerous doing it as they're warming up their tires on the starting grid.
I mean, now I don't even think that they're thinking about what sport they're
just
protesting.
Anything.
I mean, they were at the snooker a few weeks ago.
That's true. Yeah,
that really wound me up. I mean, what an unnecessary thing to do, to go to a snooker tournament and put that orange stuff all over the.
What was really satisfying to watch those when they were hoovering it up and that they were doing a rip. Like it was just it was quite satisfying to watch. That was a sport in itself.
I missed that.
No, I enjoyed the Formula E, though. Yeah. I watched both races.
I did.
And I was saying the second race where sort of nobody wanted to really win or nobody wanted to be in the lead. And I was talking to a few people who were there. And it's like, it's such a shame, no one likes. And I was like, I didn't mind that. Like, it was quite tense. Like, someone got to the front and they were like, oh no, I can't really be here for too long because we're going to use up too much energy. So I've got to drop back some point, but I can't drop back too far. And I thought it was really good. And it didn't get to the point where, because they were all so bunched up, normally there's like a huge collision or something and then it's all haywire, but they were so on edge for such a long time, I thought, and no major crashes. I was more interested like that. I found it more interesting than usual.
Yeah. The only thing that's sort of getting me going now. So, right. For context, as you know, Harry, I've never been a massive fan of Formula E, but I've been really trying. But being there in real life in Berlin, I was so impressed with it. Like the venue was actually really cool. I wasn't expecting much. It's a great venue. Both races were brilliant, but it was interesting because a lot of people are now starting to moan because there's so many overtakes, and it's a little bit manufactured with attack. They go off to the attack zone or whatever they call it these days, and they're now complaining that it's too forced, too manufactured, too much going on. It's like a cartoon race. There's so many overtakes that it's got silly. and you just can't win.
But then you can't, like, in F1, DRS, that is a manufactured thing to try and boost overtaking. But yet, do we get that? Everyone complains that we don't get that much overtaking in Formula One. Even with these new regulations, in my opinion, it's not quite lived up to what we were promised yet. But
no,
you can't win. I think there's no middle. Like, can't you have a middle ground? Like, I love the extremeness of it. I think that makes it fun and totally different, which is why, I've never. You see all those people initially like, it's going to replace Formula One day. It's like, no, it's not. It's never going to. But it runs as a brilliant side thing with top drivers, and it's fun. Yeah. And at the end of the day, sport is entertainment. It always is.
Absolutely. And actually, with that entertainment in mind, Formula One has had a little play around with their regulations. Nicola, what do you make of these new regs that they're putting in place? Do you think this is going to be good for the show?
What, new regs on Formula One? Are you talking about the sprint race?
Yeah.
Right,
the sprint race, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw the announcement yesterday, and because we're recording, I don't know when this podcast is going out, but it was announced when we're recording. It was announced yesterday.
In virtual world, it'll go. Where are we? 3 days ago.
3 days. There we go. It was announced 3 days ago for when you're listening as this gets released. I worry that it's going to make the sprint race pointless, if that makes sense, because it's not affecting the grid at all for the main race on the Sunday. So now it just seems like, let's just have a race for the sake of having a race because it's fun. Let everyone go really fast for 100 kilometres.
Entertainment.
But actually, I think the drastic thing will just be the points situation for especially the teams lower down, where the lower amount of points that you get from a sprint race will actually matter to them a little bit more. So maybe you'll get teams that will push more for the sprint race that will push more for the sprint race rather than the main race, because they'll know they'll get a small amount of points in that if they really throw everything in. I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, meddling. What do you make of it, Harry?
I feel like I'll happily watch it in action first. I always think I'd rather watch racing and qualifying than practice, right? So we get rid of a pointless practice session that was a pointless practice session when it was a sprint race weekend. I think it for a fan perspective, especially if you're there in the grandstands, it's more sort of bang for your buck, essentially. Because I think you'd rather see racing at the end of the day, right, than Friday practice. Although I do enjoy watching a Friday practice because I'm weird, but at the same time, if there's a sprint shootout qualifying and a race, they've sort of the sprint shootout, they've got compulsory tires that they've got to use in Q1, Q2, and then the Q3 section of it is using the soft compound tire, I think, and that sort of looks like it would be a bit of a one-shot shootout thing, which could be quite fun and exciting. And I think the fact that now it doesn't affect the Grand Prix, as Nicola said, it might actually be better because, we'll have teams fighting maybe a bit harder and knowing that there won't be any consequence for where they start the Grand Prix race. The one thing they are, I think, concerned about is damage and the costs and how that fits within the cost cap. But that was already an issue anyway. So that just sort of continues. I mean, I compare. I would watch a lot of MotoGP, obviously, and they've introduced sprint races this year. But instead of Formula One, we had sort of 3 and then 4 and then 6. They've just gone right sprint race every single round. We're doing it. Let's go, and it doesn't affect where they start their Sunday Grand Prix race, which I wasn't quite so sure about to begin with. But actually, seeing them. They fight so hard in that sprint race now, and it's so much fun. And you just think, oh my God, amazing. It's this brilliant to watch, and it's short, sharp, and quick. It's a great sort of endorphin booster to watch. But then you worry that Sunday, it's going to be a repeat. But it wasn't. It was different qualifying orders. It was
and different strategies at play. Yeah. No, I think it could be good. I mean, they're all hardcore competitors, so they're going to be giving it their all. So let's see. An interesting tweak and fairly well received by all accounts, I think, across social media. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. We've obviously got a lot of races coming up. Nicola, any bold predictions? Anything you're expecting to see over the course of the next few weeks?
I'm expecting to see exactly the same that we've seen in the first 3. I really am. I think Red Bull are absolutely going to be up there, and that's not me saying it because I have a contract. This is me saying it because I genuinely think that. I think Max and Checo will be at the top. I think everyone's going to be still pleasantly surprised by how amazing Fernando's going to be doing. I think Mercedes will be creeping up a little bit further because, you know, they do a little bit of moaning and then they do really well. That's kind of what Mercedes tend to do. So I think we'll see exactly what we've seen for the first 3 races.
Well done towing the party line there. Very good.
Well rehearsed. Well rehearsed.
No, shut your face. Listen to me. No.
Christian Horner is a wonderful team principal, which is why he has been at the helm of Red Bull since 2005.
No.
Have I ever told you how much I love the colour of that car?
The livery year on year just gets better and better.
Listen to me. That was
those incremental changes.
That was
are beautiful.
not me.
Right. Okay. We need to put this in context for those that have been under a rock the last 24 hours, or when this goes out, last 72 hours. Nicola, tell the people your exciting news. What are we talking about? This is
announcement.
Hugely exciting for your announcement. Can we put this in with the little red things on social, little alarm bells? Go on then, hit us with it.
So I am the new host of Talking Bull, the official Red Bull Racing podcast. And there's my dog barking, celebrating.
Oh, everyone's celebrating. Look, my cat's just got freaked out by that. He's like, "Whoa, what's this? The dog?" It's tremendously exciting news. So God,
Rodney,
what's up with Rodney?
You have to rename him Red Bull now, or
shush. I'm not under like a mega strict contract. Can I just say?
You've got 2, haven't you? So there you go, Max and Checo. Done.
I've got Larry and Rodney.
Larry and Rodney. Nice.
This is going to be like when we interviewed William Story about Rich Energy. Shouldn't say that in front of you anymore. But when we interviewed William Story, the first thing he did was open up a can of Rich Energy.
Have you been given any Red Bull?
I mean, there's as much as you want to drink as soon as you get to the factory. There is a fridge in every room.
Well, I've seen
in every room.
Some of the Red Bull content creators that there are have got given a little mini Red Bull fridge. So I feel like if that's not written in your contract, you should really kind of be gaming for that over the course of the year.
I have to try and get one of those. Do you know what? I had one of the tropical ones because if you actually, I'm gonna plug here. So episode 1 with Christian Horner on the official Oracle Red Bull Racing YouTube channel.
Oracle,
you can watch it. You can watch the video. But on the table there is the constructors' trophy. And there's 2 cans of Red Bull. And on the either side, they're not like the classic cans of Red Bull. One of them was tropical. And I tried it because I'd never tried it before. And it was really nice. Really nice. That's not me contractually having to say that. That's me being completely honest.
This is not a sponsored podcast.
It's not at all.
How's it going then? I mean, you've done one show, one recording so far, right? How was that? Were there any nerves? Did you feel comfortable going into it? Because this is a big thing. I mean, this is in terms of audience and reach. This is right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was really nervous. I was really nervous. I've done a lot of big jobs over the years, you know, done a bit of telly stuff, big radio stuff. But this, I just found, because we arrived, and so the whole thing in the studio, in the factory, is filmed at the esports studio. So there's like a whole esports room that they've got. And we were like, this looks really cool. Let's film it in here. So there was this whole set that was built up and you're all kind of arriving and everyone's sort of gearing up, getting everything prepared. Then the trophy arrives. No one's allowed to touch the trophy. You can only touch it if you're wearing gloves and all this sort of thing. And then we started like setting up to record and Christian arrives. He was really lovely, by the way. He arrives, you know, we had a quick introduction and stuff and sat down. So then if you picture the scene, it's me sat opposite Christian, and then we've got 3 cameras, 2 for our close-ups and 1 for like the wide shot. And then behind that is probably about 15 people, roughly.
Felt there was
so
a
you've
lot
got
of people there.
Whoa.
Yeah, so you've got like the production team from Sony Music and from something else that are part of the production, but then you also have people from Red Bull sort of stood there as well, just kind of making sure that everything goes okay. And because it was the first one, people wanted to come in and watch. So it was like, okay. And I just felt, I was sat there like, oh, this is really overwhelming. I can't believe I'm sat here right now. What is my life? And yeah, I definitely felt really nervous. But I think after about 10 minutes, I think I relaxed a little bit and I was like, okay, I'm all right now. Although I did get dry contact lens eye about halfway through.
Oh, no.
And I was trying not to wink at him. If you wear contact lenses, right? If you wear contact lenses, you'll understand what I'm saying. You get a random dry eye every now and again and you find yourself just kind of wink. It looks like you're winking at people. So I was trying to kind of sort out my contact lens while trying not to wink at Christian Horner and make him uncomfortable.
He's like, what do you want? Why are you winking at me?
Crucial
Hume?
question though: was the trophy a replica or was it the real deal? Did he reveal that off air?
No, it wasn't revealed off air. So there was this whole chat. If you haven't seen or heard it, there was this whole chat about the actual trophy that he brought in, because we're doing a whole thing where each guest will bring in an item that means something to them, that's significant to them within their time at Red Bull, right? And he brought in the constructor's trophy, and it was brought in, and we weren't allowed to touch it. I was allowed to touch it later on, but I had to wear gloves. And it's all very much, leave it here, nobody touch it, nobody do anything, blah, blah, blah. So you're like, if it's that serious, it can't be a replica if you're not allowed to touch it, right? I don't know.
But
I think
it was interesting. It was funny when he said, "Oh, well, I mean, we could have replaced it with a replica. How the FIA going to know? But it's probably Mercedes replaced it many years ago, and Mercedes had the real one.
It's a Mercedes replica, yeah."
But I mean, I watched the full thing. It's on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. And it was really enjoyable. Like, I think it opens up a slightly different side to not just Christian, but like the other guests that you're going to get on. You know, it's not, you say in the show, it's not just the big hitters. You're going to get the people who you don't know about as well, who work for the team.
Yes, everyone. So we're our next guest is Adrian Newey, the man, the legend, and then we're going to be chatting to engineers, mechanics. I've asked to speak to one of the drivers' personal trainers just so we can, see how they train. And I want to chat. I want to chat to everyone, because there's so much going on behind the scenes with any Formula One team, and you don't realise how many people make this thing work smoothly. So it'd be really nice to just to chat to everyone and just pick their brains and be like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Tell me about your job, because this is fascinating. Is
there anyone you're particularly looking forward to speaking with?
I think Harry might know the answer to this, but I'm very excited about chatting to Daniel Ricciardo, because I kind of love him a little bit. I don't know when that's going to be. I haven't been told when that's going to be. I don't even know if it's going to be face to face or if I'm going to be in a separate studio or something like that. We don't know yet.
You can't go near him. He's got a restraining order.
That's the guy I'm really excited to chat to. Yeah.
That will be epic. I mean, So how did it come about? How did you get the job?
Well, it was kind of like everything all kind of merged together perfectly. So, I mean, I've worked with cars for years. So I've worked with like Auto Express and Car Buy and reviewing cars and doing all that sort of stuff. And I've always been a fan of Formula One at the same time. So, and worked in radio. So everything all kind of combined together. Now, what happened was I got a message from a friend of mine called Ollie, who used to be my boss when I used to work for Heart FM. And he was actually the guy that like got me my job at Heart. And he now works for a audio production company. He works for like a podcast company called Something Else. And he went, just so you know, a friend of mine is like making this podcast and it's about Formula One and they need a host. And because I know you and I know you like cars and I know that you follow Formula One because you talk about it all the time, can I give him your name? And I went, yeah, go on then. That was it. That was the end of the conversation. Didn't think anything of it. Just went, yeah, fine. Because, that happens, doesn't it? Can I give your name to put forward for this thing? And then you just don't hear anything ever again. So I just did that and then ignored it, got on with my life. And then it was, 2 weeks later, it was about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks later, I got an email from a guy called Simon at Sony Music who went, can I give you a call like now? I went, yeah. And at this point, I'd completely forgotten that I'd spoken to Ollie at all. And it was, we would like to offer you the Oracle Red Bull Racing podcast. And I was like,
so no auditions or anything, just straight in there, boom.
No, so apparently they'd been stalking me for a couple of weeks. Yeah, they've been like all over my social media, watching my videos and stuff and watching car reviews and seeing everything that I post, making sure that I am a fan of Formula One, that I'm knowledgeable and that, that I'm good enough at what I do. And then they just offered it to me. And then I put the phone down and was like, blimey. And then what happened, I phoned my husband straight away. He was the first person I phoned. I went, you're not going to believe this, but this has just happened. And he was like, no way. I was like, seriously? And then the second person I phoned was Harry.
Yeah.
Because at the time, Harry and I were kind of working on some things together because we were trying to sort of do like some podcasty stuff together for a bit of fun, and
you went and ruined it all.
I was like, Harry, you're not going to believe this, but I've just been offered this and now I don't know what to do.
Bloody amazing.
And now here we are. Yeah, insane.
Yeah. And you've taken it. It's happening. You've done the one with Christian. You've got Age of New coming out. So how many can we expect over the course of the year?
So this year it's 10 episodes, and we're hoping, although it hasn't been confirmed, hoping for a bonus episode that I can't tell you anything about yet. So it's definitely 10, potentially with a bonus.
And does this involve any travel to races?
Maybe.
That's my answer. Everything's going to be at the factory, unless it's not at the factory.
Unless you go to the race.
Unless.
Yeah. Well,
we don't know yet. I don't actually know yet, but that's hopeful. We're hopeful. Yeah.
Oh,
but the point is we're going to be at the factory chatting to the people. That's kind of the point. But then I suppose when else will I get to chat to the drivers if it's not at a race?
Was that your first time at the factory then? And have you been to Formula One factories before? Because they are quite incredible places, and Red Bull is certainly a decent sized factory as factories go.
You have to go to Milton Keynes though. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Well, there is that. Roundabouts.
It is massive. It's huge, and it is getting bigger. It's like the best way to explain it is like a university campus. Oh. It's huge. There's loads of different buildings, and then there's more buildings to come from when they're going to start working with Ford, and they're going to start manufacturing the engines and stuff there at Milton Keynes, rather than getting it sent in from Honda and from abroad, etc. So they're building more things even further down. But we went, it was about a month before we recorded with Christian. It was about a month before we went and did a factory tour, so that we can kind of get an idea of what the place was like. And I was blown away by it. It's unbelievable. The sheer size of it, the scale of it is incredible. But the details and just the little things of what has to go into making a steering wheel and how clean the place is. It's so clean. You would expect it to be like a dirty, grubby garage, but it's really not. Everything is so clean.
Not anymore these days.
Very surgical.
What was the sort of, was there anything unexpected that you sort of stumbled across when you were touring around, or something really cool that stuck with you?
Oh, God. Was there?
Well, that trophy cabinet's not bad.
I mean, the trophy cabinet's
there as soon as
insane.
you walk in, right?
Yeah, as soon as you walk into reception, you crane your neck all the way up to the ceiling, and it's just trophies galore. It's unbelievable. And there's a room as well. Sort of, this is in one of the buildings called MK7. There's a room there which is just massive, and it has every car from the first Red Bull all the way up to the 2022 car.
Wow!
And it's like a whole semicircle of Red Bull Formula One cars, and you walk into the room, you're like, oh wow. And I just got excited about touching the tyres, you know. I was like, they're so smooth. I know they look smooth, but they genuinely are really smooth. I was like, wow.
Smooth and shiny. They're amazing places to be, these factories. And it's I guess you've got to pinch yourself at points, because that's a very privileged position to find yourself in, to be able to, you know, just go to the factory, let alone work in there and meet these incredible people. I mean, that really is you're probably doing one of the most sought after, if not the most sought after content creator jobs.
He followed you.
Buxton followed me.
Yeah, and Red
Bull. Buxton.
That guy will be doing impressions of you soon. What's his name?
The
Conor Moore.
That's it. Yeah.
his Christian Horner's really good, isn't it?
His Carlos Sainz is really good, I think, as well. I mean, so it's one episode a month till sort of the end of the year. First one's already out. And it's on YouTube and podcast places. What's for you though? I mean, I know you've done cars, and that's been your main thing for the last couple of years, but you've done radio, and you obviously love Formula One and want to do more of that. Is there a kind of goal? Like, what more do you want to do, like, in terms of sort of job career wise?
I am at a stage where I just say yes to everything. That's it.
Good attitude.
I would like to say I have a target, but I think my target at the start of the year was to work within Formula One.
You tick that one
and
off.
I got the call by the end of February, so I don't really know what to do now. I really, honestly, I can't believe that this is happening. I'm absolutely over the moon and just completely blown away by it. And I was texting Harry on, when was it? So the first episode came out on, what day is it today? Wednesday. First episode came out on Tuesday. Yeah. I was texting Harry on Monday night going, maybe they're not going to announce it. Maybe this is too good to be true. I know I've recorded it.
Did it happen?
We've definitely done it. But is this actually happening? Like, I just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. And now I've finally managed to sleep. I feel like I haven't slept.
First one's out of the way. The Band-Aid's off and it's out there. It's actually amazing because like I met you in what? January, was it? Or January.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other. We knew kind of each other a little bit, but we got put in touch to maybe kind of see what we could do together if we could make a project. And you know, I knew about you doing Heart because we both have radio backgrounds and whatnot. But the pace at which this has all happened is incredible. Like, you know, we met in some coffee shop, in Sevenoaks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like that was halfway between us, just to like get to know each other. And you know, saying all this stuff about F1, blah blah blah. But you hadn't worked in it yet properly, and now like you're the bloody host for the Oracle Red Bull Racing podcast, Talking Bull.
I still can't, honestly.
In the space of a month or two.
I believe in manifestation. I believe in manifestation. Yes, I do. And I do. I think maybe where everything that I've done, everything that I've said yes to, everything has built up to this thing, and I've managed to somehow manifest it. I don't know how it's happened, but I do think
hard work. That's how it happens.
Somehow.
Hard work.
That as well.
And a bit of manifestation.
Yeah.
No, I'm all for a bit of manifestation. It's really exciting, and you know, massive congratulations. It's a huge deal, and long may it continue. Hopefully we'll see you there for a very long time, and you know, it's gonna put your career into a totally new place. So we're all really, really excited for you. Many, many congratulations, and thank you for joining us again, because we had you on last week. And we did tease this information, so it's nice to finally be able to talk about it. So thank you for coming back on and sparing the time. I know it's going to be a whirlwind for you over the next few weeks. But Nicola, thank you so much once again, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you on the MotorMouth podcast soon.
Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you very much.